So we just created the login, profile, and register. The just template, just basic template. It's not really checking my user input, and it's not showing me like please enter username and password when it is empty, right? But like we said, we are going to only showing that arrow when we touched it, but it's still empty, right? When we enter something and erase it, it's going to show me like please enter username, and same thing for the password. We're going to make that first. So the username and the password, those are some user input here. So we want, like when I type something, we want to record what the user typed here. We want to remember like what the user typed here, and we're going to store that data into some place. Where to store that? It's going to be our state. So we're going to create a state, and inside state we're going to have username and the password, which is to record the user input here. All right. Let's go to the login. Let's create a state here. That means we're going to have a constructor, props, super props, and we're going to say this dot state is equals to user name, which is just empty. Remember, we're not using TypeScript, so we cannot just usually check the type of it. We can still check the type with some libraries we're going to talk about in a second, but right now we just don't care about the type. And the password, the initial value is just empty string, right? So we just create a state with username and password, and both of them are empty. And how do we link the state with the value we have here? So in the input here, we have the class name equal to form control, name equal to username, type equal to text, placeholder is equal to the username. All right, let's create some let's see. Let's create some values for it. The value of this username is just equals to this state, the username, right? Link them together. And this, and for the password, it's going to be value is equal to this state, the password. Right? Don't forget the curly brace, because they are equals to two variables. So we're going to use the curly brace instead of the just quotation marks. So right now, if you go to your login component, you'll see like you're getting an arrow saying you provided the value props to a form field without the unchanged handler. This will render a read-only field. That means like if you just provide a value without the unchanged, that's going to make the input field unchangeable. You cannot change it. Like whatever you type it, it's not going to work. It's going to be a read-only format right now. This is the default setting for the React. Yep. So you will be not able to touch it. So that means once we provide a value to it, we also need to provide an unchanged function. So let's create an unchanged function. Unchanged is just equals to this the unchanged. It's going to be a function. We'll create that soon. Same thing for the password. Unchanged, the password is equal to this the unchanged. And we're going to create a function called unchanged, which is equals to a function takes the event and returns a function. Right? It's an arrow function. So this arrow function, what we're going to do here is like a unchanged is like unclick. It's running when you change any input in that input field, like when you start typing, or when you delete something, it's going to run that function. So every time when we type something, we want to update our state. we want to update our username and password in the state into the current value we have there. So in here, we're going to see this set state. We're going to set state or set the we're going to set this the username equal to so let's say let's firstly give me a second. It's firstly console.log e.target. Let's see what's going to happen here. The target or the console log is the target, right? So right now, I think you will be able to type because we already have the unchanged. So if I type 1, it's actually not showing. But when I type it, when I click something, it's actually saying it is reading, like when I type it here, it says console log the username. When I type here, it's console log the password. It knows like whatever I'm typing here, like which field input field I'm touching. So in here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say this set state. What we're gonna set here is username and password. So let's say one way we can do that is we can see, let's make it if either target the name. Actually, what is the target name? Let's just try to console log it out. I want to make sure I'm not wrong. So console log it target the name. This one is username, and this one is password. Yep. So if the target name is equal to username, then we're going to update username. So this the set state. This the set state. Username is equal to either target the value, right? Else, we'll update either this set state. Okay, set up the password is equal to either target the value. I think I have some parenthesis issues here. Yep. Extra. Yeah, I think that's correct right now. So I have the if when the target is a username, update the username. Otherwise, update the password. Let's try it. So right now, I should be able to update it. Like, see, I can type it. Don't store the username and password for me. I can type right now. And if every time after I type, we're not only just changing the field, we also change the state type, change the state, right? I can type it right now. And this is actually a very stupid way to write. We actually have an easier way. So there's another way to write it. Like instead of have an if else, like imagine we have a lot of input fields there. It's going to be a lot of time to write the thing one by one, like with a lot of if and else. What we can do here, we can just say this set state, and we're going to say we're going to update no matter what the target name is. We're going to update it to the target value. Right? With this syntax, when the name equal to username, it's going to just update the username. When name equal to password, it's just going to update the password, and it's always going to be the current value of your type. Right? So you can actually try it again. So after you change it, you can console the log. This is the state. Say what you have in the state. For example, here, if I type 1, you see it changes, right? It changes, and the password it changes too. Like whatever I type here, it's just following my changes. All right. So so it's very easy, just one line for the unchanged. See if you can make it.
Sure.
Yeah.
What's the objective of this line of code? What is objective? Why do we write this line of code? The reason.
Oh, the reason? Because we want to record what the user typed here. Like when the user types something here, we want to put the data into some variable, right? So we put that into the state.
Okay, but we can access to our input by document point dots get elements by ID.
But we also want to re-render our page, right? Like remember the React is take a look look at our state. Once we change that, it will be able to re-render the page. And what we want to re-render is like I want to show this please enter username, please enter password only when we touched our input field, but like it's still empty. So we're gonna have a function to check if the username is touched, but it's still empty. Gonna show this error message. Otherwise, it's gonna show this forever. And also, if you want, and also you need to, if you want to get in the value of it, you also need to have unchanged there. Otherwise, it's not gonna allow you to type anything. It's gonna be read-only format. So anything, well, by using the React, anything related to data, you're gonna put that in a state. You cannot just directly read it from the like the target value. This with that is the point. This using the React. React is help you to make it easier to bind in the data and the view. Otherwise, you can just using the traditional JavaScript without any libraries. All right, let's remove that one. So this is unchanged. I think here we can actually check something. When I change it, I want to have an if function. If actually, let's say actually I don't need that. I can just put it in the arrow here. I think. So the first arrow I have here is please enter username. If I only want to show this when the username is empty and the username is touched. Actually, maybe I don't want to show it like that. It looks like a little bit stupid. You can show it like when I submit the form to show it. Let's do it that way. When I try to submit the form, and if not working, we just show that error message. Let's try it that way. So that means we're going to show some errors when I submit the form. So let's create a function called onSubmit, which takes something and returns something. And this is our onSubmit function. And let's put that function into our form. So when we submit our form, we're going to run that function. So form onSubmit is equals to this onSubmit. Oops, why does it keep telling me that onSubmit? And remember, the first thing we're going to do here is it's going to take the event as the input. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to e.prevent default. Do you still remember that? Like it's going to help us to stop it to reload the page. Because we're using a single page application, we don't want it to refresh a page, right? Right now, it's not doing anything. It's not going to refresh a page. Right? We're going to have the e.prevent from default to prevent it from refresh a page. And here we're going to worry about when I submit the form. If the username is empty, I want it to well, when the username is empty, I want it to show this please enter username here. And then when the password is empty, it's going to show please enter password here, right? When I submit the form. So to do that, I may want to have a if cases checking when I submit something. If username if this state, the username is equal to empty, and then we want to show that arrow there. Username, sorry. What arrow to show there? Actually, we can show. Let's create a new state. Let's create arrows, which is an object, right? We'll create a new state. Create a new item in the state. Arrows. We're gonna put all the arrows inside that state. So if the username equal to empty, we are going to see this set state. And arrows is equal to, remember arrows is object, so I can say arrows will have a username arrow, which is a username is required, right? Something like that. And we want to return it to stop the function. And then we check if this state, the password is equal to empty. What we're going to do here is we want to set the state arrows with the password and the password is required. Just some message, right? It's object, so I can set up more than one.
So there is no if-else cases and else cases. Just
You can use if-else. It's the same thing. So you can use if-else and else, but I just prefer to using two ifs here because I can check it one by one. I can also, but you can use if-else. It's the same. You can use if, and without the return, you can just else if. Yes, it's the same thing. Just using the if. I just like the syntax of it. All right. So we can check the username is not empty, password is not empty. Let's try if that works. And once we have that arrows, we're gonna display them here. In the message here, please enter username. I'm gonna rewrite this one. So in here, we start gonna showing please enter username. It's gonna show this the state, the arrows, the username. Right, it's gonna show whatever username arrows there. And this one, the next one, going to show the arrows of the password. Please enter password. It's going to show this state, the arrows, the password. And right now it's both empty, so just show you some empty lines, empty yellow lines here. We want to only display it when there is a username arrow, and only want to display the password arrow when there is a password arrow, right? So to do that, if you're using the Angular, we're using the ngIf. And if you want to do that in the React, it's actually something similar. So we're firstly going to using a curly brace for the part we want to hide or show, and then we see when the this state, the arrows, the username equals to true, and we show that, right? Just using the and and with the parentheses for the content. So right now with a username, when the username equals to true, when the arrow's username equals to true, it's going to show that. And same thing for the password. We're going to say, actually this is for the password, I believe. Or this is for the username. Where is the password? This is for the password. Sorry. This actually should be the password. Password. The username should be up. Oops, not. I'm kind of lost. Oh, sorry. It's the username. It's actually username. Password is here. So for the password, we're gonna have the curly brace, and we're gonna have this state, the password, and that. Right. When the password, not password, it's arrows, the password. When the arrows, the password is equal to true. It has some password, has some error password error. It's going to show this error message. So right now, if I come to this page, it's not showing both of them. And then when I try to submit, it's going to tell me please fill out this field. Oh, I think because I made it required. So it's going to be required me to write some things there. If I remove this required, and also remove the required for the password. Actually, if they
I think they're good.
yeah, they're good, but just we also want to make sure that this works in this way, because some browsers, they don't care about if that input is required or not. The Chrome can take care of that because like it's just care about that, but maybe some browser doesn't care about that. Because also we want to make it like make sure it also works without the required. Make sure it works in both ways, right? So it's fine. Please fill out this form. It's okay. Let's just keep it in that way. But right now, if I have the empty, it's not going to allow me to submit it, which is good. And if you get rid of this required, it's still going to work. We can try that. Right, so that's how you checking if the input field is empty. Right. Let's also do the same thing for the register form. Also want to erase this three yellow part. We'll only show you that when we try to submit the empty form. Let's do that for the register. Actually, let's do that for later. Let's finish the current part for the login. We haven't submit our login request. Right now we're just checking if they're empty. And also we are always see this pink part. We actually want to only show that when there is actually any arrows there. So to do that, we are going to create a login function. So once we submit the form, we're firstly checking if the username is not empty, password is not empty. Then we call a login function here, like this login. Right? Login takes the username and the password. Is that true? I actually forget what the login function take. Let's bring the server side. Right now we only have the client side. Let's bring the server side to our code to make sure they're working together fine. So in my webmaker folder, I have my server side code, like in my server folder, and I have a server.js. Let's move those. Let's copy those things to our new application. As I said, nothing needs to be changed there. So this is my new folder for the webmaker React. Right. So we need to copy a few things. First thing is server.js. Let's copy that to our current folder. All right. Let's copy the server folder to my current folder. Let's see what else we need. Let's also copy the proc file. The proc file is for the Heroku. Later we're gonna send our code to the Heroku. So let's also copy the proc file. I think that's it. The server side, just proc file, server folder, and the server.js. Right. Let's open my code again. So we have our server folder. We have server.js here. One more thing need to change is that because when we're working with the Angular, it has a environment, the base URL, right? Like a base URL is localhost 3100 when we run it locally in the development mode, and it's the base URL changes to empty when we send a code to the Heroku, and that's something React doesn't have. So we cannot using the with credential equals true to handle that. So to make it work, we're going to go to our package.json, and we're going to end in one line of code here. We're going to say before the here. Let's end it. Actually you can end it anywhere, but just put it. You can put it anywhere in here. I'm going to say ending a proxy, which is equal to HTTP local host 3100, which is your server, right? So this is basically saying when you're trying to send out a request in the development mode, we are sending that to localhost 3100, right? So it's lets the browser know like where should the request go to, right? With that, you don't have to take care about. This is basically the way to working as same as a event-based URL. Right, adding a proxy in your package.json. And right now, let's running our server. Let's open another terminal. My server is not running yet. Let's do a node server here. Node server. Yeah. Oops, I get an error. Oh, I need the packages like the cookie parser, the passport, those stuff, right? We don't have that yet. Let's install them. Install npm install dash save. Don't forget to dash save. Gonna install the cookie parser. It's gonna and after we install the cookie parser, it's gonna tell when I try to do the node server, it's gonna tell me what packages are missing. Just install them one by one. All right, install them one by one. Let's do another node server. Just finish the installation of the cookie parser. Node server. You tell me what packages I'm missing. I need the express session. Express session. And I believe I also need a passport. So we install this right now. And passport local. Install this too. And I think there is someone called one package called bcrypt node.js, something like that. But it's gonna check it out later. Yeah.
I had an error that I need to install Express Sessions.
Yep.
And when I tried to install this, I couldn't.
Give me a second.
Install save Express Session. This is correct.
Yeah. Maybe you need to also install the Express, but
Express before.
no, actually it's not the original manual, but it will tell you if which one you're missing. Yeah, it's install that, and also it can tell you which package you're missing. Passport, yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes it happens just install it again. Yeah.
Sure. How can I like I did this one and I get an error.
Which one?
No, it's okay. Just I have a question about the order. And when I'm like the message about my username to appear first, then the one about the.
Yeah, this is all code should work.
So I can do.
Let's check the login. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have this one.
Yeah, this is my profile.
This is not safe.
Oh,
Return.
put the return, yeah, put the return to stop the function. Otherwise, it's gonna one this and one that.
Yeah.
It's gonna keep running.
I don't need another return.
You need another return.
I did it?
Yeah, because if we have any error of username and password, then stop function. Otherwise, it's gonna call login function to log in our user. Right, I just installed the passport. Let's try it again. Node server. What else we need? I need the mongoose. So I'm gonna npm install mongoose dash save mongoose.
Depends on the message you get. Depends also depends on what you got. Around is not safe. Yeah, you have to mention.
And again, another node server. Looking for the bcrypt.js. Let's copy that. Let's install that. No server. See if there are any other packages missing. Alright, so I just installed all the packages I need. Oops, never mind. Getting another error. I'll say the Mongo network error. That means your MongoDB is not running. So let's run the MongoDB too. Let's add in another terminal. Let's do it here. Do the MongoD here to run our Mongos. Let's go back. Do another server. Right, so my server is running, and I'll give you a few minutes, see if you can make your server running. Just install the packages and do a MongoD and run your server.
Why do we need to install server?
Why do I need to install server?
Because he got a message that he need the server package. I run
Give me a second.